Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. April 13th, 2018.
The Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services. Cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services.
Should liberal judges in Massachusetts be held accountable for the murders committed by criminals that they allow onto the streets? That's the question now that, frankly, I am asking, and I am urging the entire media and political leaders in this state to start asking in the wake of the tragic murder, the shooting death of a Yarmouth police officer yesterday in Cape Cod. Here is now the absolute latest on this heart-wrenching, heartbreaking story. Yarmouth police officer Sean Gannon, 32 years of age, along with his police dog, Nero, were involved in an operation with other police officers to execute a warrant upon a career criminal by the name of Tom Latanowicz. Tom Latanowicz, listen now to this, everybody. You need to hear this. Was identified by the Yarmouth Police Department as a, quote, violent and notorious career criminal who had over 111 criminal charges against him. 111. He had been arrested literally dozens of times. His rap sheet was as long as both of my arms and both of my legs. Drug dealing, drug use, stabbings, firearms, intimidating a witness, you name it, Latanowicz did it. And what is even more outrageous is that when Officer Gannon, along with his canine dog, Nero, and other officers approached the house where Latanowicz was holed up in, there was a standoff that lasted for several hours. Then, to the shock and horror of everybody, shots rang out. Boom, boom, boom. Out of the blue, Sean Gannon was shot in the head. Officer Gannon was on the ground. His dog, trying to save him, was also shot, both of whom were taken in an ambulance to the local hospital. When Officer Gannon arrived, he was pronounced dead. The poor canine dog, Nero, is fighting for his very life. He has just gone through surgery, and the doctors now say it's touch and go. He may live, or the poor dog may die. Latanowicz has now been arrested, and he has been charged with murder. But the question that I have is a very simple one. He was arrested for stabbing in 2016. He was wanted on numerous other charges. And yet some liberal judge let him out on the streets. In fact, he was in violation of his probation for not showing up for a drug test, which is why Officer Gannon, along with other officers, were there to try to get him at his home. And the question I'm asking is, how the hell do you have 111 charges against you? And all you're doing is going back and forth. Arrest, in jail, out. Arrest, jail, out. Arrest, jail, out. And then just 2 years ago, you're convicted of stabbing somebody? And the judge lets you out on the streets? He should never have been out on the streets in the first place. And what I find, frankly, most despicable, and I'm sorry, somebody has to say it, my friends. You see, that was Officer Gannon, but that could have been you. Because when these judges keep allowing career criminals like this one, Latanowicz, loser Latanowicz, who, by the way, is a Somerville boy, but let that go, When they allow career criminals to constantly roam our streets, they're endangering you. They're endangering your neighborhood, your street, your community, your family. It happened to be Officer Gannon who was shot dead. But very easily, with this animal out on the streets, it could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been my Grace. It could have been my Ashton, my Ava. Look how these liberal judges have absolutely no freaking consideration of the lives and safety of the citizens they're supposed to be protecting. And if you want to see how, I'm sorry, but this is why everybody's so outraged over this. If you want to see how outrageous this is, okay? So, as I said, Latanowicz, according to law enforcement officials on the Cape, was a notorious career criminal who had racked up, as I said, 111 charges, dozens of arrests over the years. This is just a taste of some of the charges that ended up with a conviction. November 24th, 2014, Fall River District Court. Conviction. Misdemeanor operating under the influence of liquor. June 28, 2010, Barnstable District Court. Conviction. Felony. Carrying a dangerous weapon, a double-edged switchblade. February 1st, 2010, Barnstable Superior Court. Conviction, felony, assault with a dangerous weapon. Conviction, felony, witness intimidation. So he's assaulting people with a dangerous weapon. He's stabbing people. He's driving drunk. He's intimidating witnesses. Another one, 25 counts. Conviction, felony, possession of a firearm without a permit. 8 counts, conviction, felony, possession of a large capacity weapon / feeding device. May 7th, 2008, Barnstable District Court, conviction, 2 counts, felony, possession of a firearm without a permit. I could go on. I mean, I'm not kidding. I could go on, and I would end at 3 o'clock. It would be the next 45 minutes, me just reading all of his felony convictions. Now, why was this guy allowed to be out on the street? Why? And, you know, I'm sorry, but I have to say this. I have to say this. You have to see the pictures of this man that was killed. Officer Sean Gannon. He's got a face like bread. Wholesome. Every officer tells you, every neighbor in the area that he patrolled, that neighborhood, said he was the best cop you could ever find. He genuinely cared about his community. He genuinely cared about his job. And what bothered him the most, he was a police officer for 8 years, an absolutely flawless record, is that he wanted to really put an end to the opiate epidemic. That for him, fighting opiates was personal. And so, according now to, these are all the people in the neighborhoods that he patrolled. Listen to this. This is now, they're coming out of the woodwork, saying, you don't understand. He was there giving people Dunkin' Donuts coffee. He would talk to people and say, get off the drugs. Let me help you get help. You need to go to rehab. Here's where you can go to get rehab. Please, you don't need to be hooked on heroin. You don't need to be hooked on these opiates. Here's a nice cup of coffee. Please, I'm urging you. You can turn your life around. He went door to door, neighbor to neighbor, community to community, literally trying to clean up the streets. He was the nicest guy you could ever find. You want to talk about community policing? He was the epitome of community policing. Quote, I just want to give you some quotes. These are random people that knew him and said he was incredible, him and his dog Nero. He was the first drug canine officer in Yarmouth. That he was extremely proud of that fact. Here's what they said about him. Quote, according to one neighbor, one resident of the community, forgive me. Quote, he was on the streets every day, not just trying to make arrests, but engaging in door-to-door community outreach by offering addicts help in obtaining treatment. Another one, he believed in this approach to policing, that he tried to connect addicts with the resources that could help them get off drugs. According to Officer Sean Gannon, in his own words, quote, "One of the best ways to combat the drug problem in our town is not just to catch people with drugs, but to convince people that the use of drugs, that they should be stopped from using them." That's the kind of guy he was. He's dead. He's married. He leaves behind him a grieving widow. According to friends and relatives, she is absolutely devastated. They're worried that she may never be able to recover from this. Police officers, because he was such a good, decent man, openly weeping and crying upon hearing the news of this man's assassination, of his murder. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen. Because Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 10, Channel 25, the Boston Herald, the Boston Globe, everybody's flapping their mouths today. Oh, they weep for Officer Gannon. And there's going to be a funeral. And Governor Charlie Faker's going to show up. And Attorney General Maura Healey's going to show up. And they're going to kiss that poor widow. And they're going to give her an American flag. And there's going to be this big 5-gun salute. And they're going to be playing the bagpipes. And they're going to put him 6 feet in the ground and blank you. And they're on to business as usual. That's it. It's a nice, feel-good, heartstring story. Let's splash it everywhere. Oh, we're so sorry for Officer Gannon. That's what's going to go on. And more cops are going to get killed. And more people are going to get killed. And the murder rate's going to continue to go up. And the crime rate's going to continue to go up. Because nobody wants to confront one of the fundamental root problems in this state. I don't want the governor with his crocodile tears, or Maura Healey with her crocodile tears. You know what I want? I want leadership, damn it. And the best way to do this is, why don't we start holding the judges accountable? That's what we need to do. How come nobody is calling out the judge that allowed this scumbag to be out on the streets in the first place? And it's not the first time. It happens again and again and again and again. Remember the officer that was shot in the back? Ron Tarantino, shot in the back in Auburn. That person was a career criminal who a liberal judge allowed out onto the streets. Jack McGuire in Woburn, also killed by a career criminal let out on the streets by a liberal shyster judge. I mean, the bodies are just piling up. Remember that couple? They were a doctor couple. They were killed by an illegal immigrant. Where was that high-rise, Brittany, again? I forget. They were in an apartment high-rise. And they were killed in their apartment. It was by an illegal alien. Now, Latanowicz is not an illegal. I'm not saying that. But the illegal immigrant that killed that doctor couple, he was a career criminal. And the judge, in order for him not to be deported, sentenced him not to 365 days in jail, but 364 days in jail. Pardon me, Brittany? Oh, at the McAllen building, but it was a doctor, right? Was it a doctor couple? A medical couple. Yes, I remember that. Yes, Richard Field, yes, I remember them. And the judge deliberately said, I want to give him 364 days in jail because I give him 365, he's going to be deported. So the illegal does his 364 days, boom, he's out on the street, and a wonderful doctor couple who had their whole lives in front of them are mercilessly slaughtered in their apartment. Where's the justice? Where's the justice? The justices are supposed to be there defending us, putting the interests and the safety of and the rights of the citizens, the law-abiding citizens first, not the criminals. Yet nobody in Channel 4 and nobody in Channel 5 or 7 or 10 or 25 or NPR or WGBH or the Globe or the Herald, maybe outside of Howie, to be honest, okay? Howie, maybe, that's it, is going to call out the freaking liberal judges. Baker won't do it. Healy won't do it. Bob DeLeo, Porky Pig, certainly won't do it. And we're just dropping like flies. I mean, I'm sorry, but enough is enough. Now, this is why, look, I'll tell you what the problem with 3 strikes and out is. I know what the problem is, okay? Sometimes 3 strikes and you're out. You know, a poor guy has 1 conviction. It's a minor conviction, a second conviction. I don't know what, dealing marijuana. Well, now marijuana is legal, but it used to be, I don't know, dealing marijuana. Okay, petty crimes. And then there's a 3rd conviction and 3 strikes and you're out. And so people would say, well, that's overly harsh. I understand that. I really do. But you know why the public is calling for 3 strikes and you're out? Because how else can you control these out-of-control liberal judges? He was charged 111 times. How come no judge with common sense said the Yarmouth police is calling him, Latanowicz, a violent, vicious, notorious career criminal? Career criminal. It's his career. Lock him up. Lock him up. After 50 times, lock him up. Not 112 times. 3 strikes and you're out. I want serious criminal justice reform. 3 strikes and you're out. That's it. I want mandatory minimums and 3 strikes and you're out. Because otherwise, with these liberal judges, more cops are going to die, more innocent citizens are going to die, and murderers are going to continue to be allowed to roam on our streets. And so my question now to you is this. Should liberal judges be held responsible and accountable when they fail to uphold their oath and allow career criminals like this scumbag to roam our streets when they should be behind bars, and it results in the murder of a police officer or in the murder of an innocent law-abiding citizen? I say absolutely yes. Enough is enough. What do you say? 617-266-6868. Your call's next.
And he is going to be so sorely missed. And we have a devastated community, family, and police department.
That, of course, is the Yarmouth police chief paying his respects to Officer Sean Gannon, who was shot in the head by a career criminal, and the judge just let him walk the streets in surgery, and the dog may be killed as well, or may die as a result as well. 617-266-6868. You can also text us, WRKO, whatever your message is, to 70470. This is an unbelievable text. Listen to this. 781. Jeff, within the first 15 minutes of Latanowicz being released from prison with his girlfriend, picking him up in her car, he told her to pull over at a light or a stop sign. Latanowicz then got out of the car, ran up to the car that was in front of him, and started stabbing the man for no apparent reason. And they allowed this guy to be back on the streets? Brittany, do you know anything about this?
I'm not sure if that is the circumstances it was under, but I read a report yesterday that he threatened a woman and then did stab a man. So that was one of the one charge against him, Jeff, out of the 113 that he had. You know, I'm sick of these liberal judges giving these criminals chance after chance after chance. And this is what happens. We saw it 3 years ago, 2 years ago with Ron Tarantino in Auburn. We saw it with Jack McGuire. That was about 8 years ago in Woburn. The day after Christmas, he was shot and killed by someone who was just out on parole. So we've seen this time and time again here in Massachusetts, and it's time for somebody, and I hope Charlie Baker stands up and does something. We can't have after the fact, let's have the death penalty for cop killers. It shouldn't get to that point to begin with, Jeff. All 3 of these cops that have been killed in Massachusetts, they were killed by career criminals. Someone needs to do something about this, and I absolutely think that these judges should be held accountable. They're not. There's something wrong with our criminal justice system, Jeff, if these men are out walking the streets.
Can I ask you a personal question? An
Sure.
honest question?
Sure.
I know your father's a police officer. Your grandfather was a police officer. You come from a family of police officers. So I know this touches you in a very deep and profound way. Do you honestly think Charlie Baker is going to really do something? Or do you
We
think...
have to put pressure on him.
Hold on. Or do you think he's going to show up at the funeral, at the Cape, do his crocodile tears, hug the widow, give her an American flag, and then basically it's going to be business as usual?
When Ron Tarantino...
In all honesty, do you think Baker will actually do something?
No,
or
because
will he just pretend
didn't. No, because he didn't do
something?
anything after Ron Tarantino died. He wouldn't even light the Zachem Bridge blue when Ron Tarantino died, Jeff. So no, he's not going to do anything about this. So we, as Massachusetts citizens, need to stand up and we need to do something about this. We need to be outraged. If the liberals can do it, and they can march on Beacon Hill all Saturday, we can do something about it, Jeff.
Very well said, Brittany. 617-266-6868. Okay, my friends, I'm going to take your calls, I promise. First, yes, baby. Scooter Libby is finally getting a full presidential pardon thanks to Donald Trump. Better late than never. Evan Heidenrich is in the WRKO newsroom. He's got all of those details. What are they, Evan?
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
Okay, my friends, Massachusetts stunned and in mourning over the brutal murder of Officer Sean Gannon by a career criminal with over 111 criminal charges against him while the officer was serving a warrant because Thomas Latanowicz failed to appear for his drug test, which was required by his probation. His dog, canine officer Nero, was also badly shot and wounded. He's now just survived an operation. The doctors have now told the Yarmouth Police Department, literally, it is touch and go. Nero may live or he may die within the next 24 hours. We will know. My question to you is this. The liberal judges in Massachusetts who allowed this career criminal to keep walking and walking and walking, do they bear some of the blame?
All of the blame.
Let me ask John Boudris.
Oh, I'm thinking out loud.
No,
Jeff.
I know. You feel so. I know. I mean, I'm outraged by this story. So many people are. Our co-host, the co-host of the Kelly Financial Services Show, John Boudris. You can hear that show. It's a great show here on WRKO every Saturday, tomorrow, from 9 a.m. until noon. John, I've got to ask you. You pretty much told me the answer, but do they deserve some of the blame, all of the blame? How do you feel about this, my friend?
Well, people might want to reflexively say this is a tragedy. It's not a tragedy. It's a travesty. And those judges bear all of the blame. They do. And you see it all the time. It's not just, on the Cape. I see it here. You pick up the Brockton Enterprise. You can read the same story, quotes around that again and again and again.
What do you think needs to be done?
Well, I probably there is no statute in our law that would hold judges accountable for that, but there should be. And I don't know if we need some kind of a citizens' referendum to insert something into our legal system. It's a good idea.
What about 3 strikes and you're out? I mean, at least something to tie their hands.
Well, I think that makes sense. In this state, we seem to see it be going in the other direction, though. With those new laws that relax the penalties. So it's sure. Whether it'll happen, I doubt it.
We are talking with John Boudris, good friend of mine. He is the co-host of the Kelly Financial Services Show. You can hear it here on WRKO every Saturday from 9 a.m. until noon. I am looking forward to tomorrow's show, John. What is on tap, my friend? Well,
one of the things, we have a rather sobering subject, and that's the idea of long-term nursing home care. And this is somewhat inspired by a personal story. A friend of mine went in for a fairly routine procedure a year ago. He's in his mid-60s, and the result, he had a massive stroke, and he'll no doubt be in a nursing home for the rest of his life, and his entire life savings will be depleted. And so to that, we're having one of Kelly Financial's specialists on to speak about the ways that people who are in retirement or heading to a retirement can protect themselves from those kinds of catastrophic costs.
That is a great issue. That is such an important issue. My mother was very sick. It was different. It wasn't from a heart attack or a stroke. It was from cancer, but these were huge catastrophic costs. My dad has Parkinson's, same thing. Go ahead, keep going. But it's a great topic. I'm going to definitely look forward to it. Is that at 9 o'clock tomorrow, John?
Yes, that'll be at 9 o'clock.
Okay, excellent. And what else do you have, my friend?
And then we're closing the first hour with a tribute to a wonderful man who passed away this week, Mr. John Oliver. Maestro Oliver was the founder of the Boston Symphony's Tanglewood Festival Chorus, and for 45 years he led that chorus. He passed away this week, and we do a tribute to him. He was a wonderful, wonderful man, and he'll be very missed. And then in the second hour, we have Andrew Kraut, one of Kelly Financial.
Oh, I love him.
Andrew,
he's good.
He's a firecracker.
No, he knows the markets. Man, does this guy know his financial stuff?
Yeah, well, he'll talk us off the ledge with regard to the volatility of the stock market.
John, I'm looking forward to it. You're a very classy man, I have to say. To everybody out there, if you need advice, financial professional advice for your financial planning, but especially your retirement planning, they are the best in the business. There is nobody I trust more. Give them a call. 888-800-1881, 888-800-1881. John, I'm looking forward to the show, buddy, and have a wonderful weekend.
And you too. Okay.
Take care. Take care.
Bye-bye.
617-266-6868. I want to, Brittany, can you do me a favor? Play the Yarmouth police chief one more time. Roll it.
John, remarkable young man. We refer to him as the Tom Brady of the Yarmouth Police Department. And he's gone. He died doing what he loved. And he is going to be so sorely missed. And we have a devastated community, family, and police department.
The Tom Brady of the Yarmouth Police Department. That's how good he was. And only 32 years of age. For him, the sky was the limit. His future was right in front of him. And he was cut down at such a young age, with such a promising career, leaving behind a devastated, heartbroken wife. I can just imagine what the parents and the siblings are going through by a career criminal who had no business being on the streets to begin with. But you know what the Boston police is actually really interested in? And in Massachusetts? You know what Marty Walsh really cares about and Governor Charlie Faker? I swear to you, body cameras for police officers. That they're spending millions of dollars to put body cams on police officers. Not more drug officer units and drug police dog units as you need in Yarmouth, for example. No. We got to watch the cops. Because you see, if Officer Gannon had a body cam, well, that would have prevented the murder yesterday, according to the geniuses in this state. I want to salute Brittany. I want to congratulate her for an absolutely incredible column. She actually has written a column on this very issue. You can find it at wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. Just click on Brittany Jennings. There it is. Brittany, very quickly, how do you feel now about your column in the wake of this tragic murder of poor Officer Sean Gannon?
It just shows that the resources, they're not going to the right places. All this money is not going to the right resources. I talked to a lot of Boston police officers before I wrote this column, and speaking to them, Marty Walsh says that it's going to be $2 million, but they're hearing rumors that this could be $6 to $10 million for body cameras on Boston police officers. And not only that, but I did a lot of research.
10 million?
Yes.
Do you know how many cruisers you can buy with that?
Yeah.
How many laptops in the police cars, firepower, weapons? How many cops you could hire?
You could hire a ton of police officers.
How many drug police officers? Or, like with this guy with his canine unit?
Absolutely. You could send police officers to training with all of this money, for more training to satisfy these politicians that are in Boston that think that this is good for community policing and for community relations. So when I talk to these officers, it's not needed. And we all know it's not needed. The title of my piece is called Policing Infiltrated by Politics, because that is exactly what is going on in Boston. And the officers believe that Marty Walsh just has a lot on his shoulders and he needs this so that he can continue to be mayor in Boston. So definitely check it out. It's really interesting. There's a lot of research in here and a lot of quotes from officers.
You could hire a lot of police with $10 million. No question about it. Brittany, great job on that column. I urge everybody, please, if you can, go to wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. Click on Brittany Jennings. There's her column. It's a great read. Aaron in New Hampshire, you're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. You guys just started touching on it. First of all, thoughts and prayers out to that officer's family and friends.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, it's so true. Governor Baker a couple weeks ago was saying that we need GPS and body cameras on all our police officers. Why isn't he outraged in having GPS and body cameras on someone who got arrested 111 times? Now, 2, you gun people out there, where are you now? Like I said, he got arrested that many times. He doesn't walk into his local gun shop and buy a gun. Why aren't you outraged? 3, if the officer had not got hit and he shot that guy and that guy was black, there'd be riots in the street. Jeff, you said, I want leadership. We're only going to get leadership if our priorities change. And the priorities go towards the good American citizens and the officers and firefighters and everybody else who protect them. 2, people do need to be held accountable. The liberal judges and the criminals themselves. And 3, we have to start looking at things through a common sense point of view. And what I mean by that is, right now, our citizens and our police officers, their lives are not worth as much as someone's political agenda. And that is wrong. That's actually lunacy in my mind. But until we start putting people's lives first and doing the right things first, instead of putting your own political agenda first, and that includes the media, we're never, ever going to solve this.
Aaron, honestly, I think it's one of your best calls. Bingo. I could not have said it better myself. Thank you for that call, Aaron.
I wish it wasn't for a fallen officer.
You nailed it, buddy. Thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Okay. Brittany, let's go to hold on. You want to go to a break? Okay, let's go to a break. I don't want to rush it. I want to give a lot of time for calls. Short segment, short break, and then we're back. Don't touch that dial. Mike in Woburn, you're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. I just want to send my condolences first to the officer and his family. I feel real bad. But please don't cut me off at the end. Aaron kind of stole my thunder, But with all the snowflakes out there ranting about gun control, right? what good is the gun control going to do with judges like this who allow the criminals in Massachusetts that has some of the toughest gun laws in the country to be convicted of gun crime after gun crime after gun crime? That this man has had multiple guns. He's been convicted of it. I thought in Massachusetts, if you get caught with a gun, it's mandatory for 1 year in prison. So this man is still walking the streets. But you know what the thing is? This is the larger point, Jeff. The government knows this. They want to disarm us because they understand that the law abiders are the ones with common sense. The law abiders are the ones with the good jobs and the good lives. Okay? It's the people without the common sense that we have to worry about. The people without the common sense are the ones that want to disarm us, because they don't realize that if the government knows that the law abiders are disarmed, those are the ones that are going to rise up against a tyrannical government. But you know what? The criminals, they're not worried about rising up because they know the criminals won't rise up against the government. But Jeff, if you could just give me two more things, please.
Go ahead, quickly, go.
Jeff, I agree with you, and I disagree with your wife, Dr. Grace, and here's why. Because the truth doesn't mean anything in this country anymore, especially with the FBI, okay? We have Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. We know they've committed multiple crimes, but you know what? The truth doesn't mean anything in this country. And you know what? If our great President Trump does not fire Mueller now, just like the KGB, show me the man, and you know what? I'll
Bingo.
find you the crime.
Bingo. Mike, I don't want to get sidetracked, but that's where I think Dr. Grace is wrong, with all due respect. I think she has a bit naive in her trust in the virtue of our justice system. But that's just my opinion. We can agree to disagree. Tom in New Jersey, you're up next. Go ahead, Tom. Hello, Tom? Did we lose Tom? Okay, John in Haverhill, you're up next. Go ahead, John.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, John?
Great. This is a sad day, so if you could bear with me, I'm going to try and get my words right here. Mike stole most of my thunder with the whole mandatory 1 year. This guy was convicted of several gun-related crimes and never spent a day in jail. Is that correct?
112 crimes he was charged with. Firearms offenses, dozens of them.
And never spent a day in jail?
Oh, no. He spent time in jail, but it was like, in, out. Okay. He's only 29 years old. He's been arrested over 24 times, and he just kept walking the streets. They lock him up for a month or two, out on the street. Lock him up a month or two, out on the street.
He should have been doing at least a 20-year term with all those crimes. That being said, the liberals want to just constantly make new laws, gun laws, yet here's the laws they don't even uphold. They just let these liberal judges feel so bad for all these people. They want to give them another chance, and then they let them out on the street, and this is what happens.
I agree.
It's disgusting.
It really is. John, we have to say enough is enough. It's time to hold the judges accountable as well. Kevin in Yarmouth, you're up next. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, Jeff, I know you're up against the clock, and I'll make it quick, but it's not just the judges. It's a broken bail system. These commissioners get them out cheap, $40 to cover their cost, and they're making money at it. And then we got to look at the parole boards who let them back out. This one needs to be on the governor. Needs to work from the top down to reform the whole damn system.
Kevin, I've got to ask you this. What's the feeling like in Yarmouth now after the murder of this wonderful, poor police officer?
They're crushed. We're crushed. I know the chief. I've met him socially. Wonderful guy. They're a phenomenal police department. They're the model police department. I don't know the officer that was killed, but I'm telling you, the community is outraged. It's not enough. I mean, the mainstream media is going to forget about this by Monday afternoon. This needs to be the governor, and he needs to feel the heat now and often until he fixes it.
Kevin, I'm up against it. I really got to go, but I've been reading reports that officers were actually crying, weeping, when they heard about Gannon being shot because this officer was such a nice man.
We should all be crying and weeping. They're all good men.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kevin. Godspeed. Okay, my friends, I got to go. I am off on vacation all of next week. It was planned months ago. Ashton and Ava have the week off. It's their spring break. So I will not be in next week. But after that, I will be back. I promise. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services. Cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services. The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 100.7 WZLX HD2 Boston, an iHeart radio station.